Well done, Marcus. Wow. Bit warm, isn't it, in here under the lights?
Yeah, it's certainly a greenhouse.
It's certainly a greenhouse. But congratulations. Well
Thank you very much.
3 out of 3. A difficult game. 2 cracking goals. I don't know if you've seen both goals, but
yeah, well,
you saw them live, obviously, but since then in the studio. But a very good performance.
Yeah, I think the 3 performances have been very similar. It's not the at times it's a little bit just hard working. Sorry. We certainly look threatening when certain players land on the ball and they're driving at people. It's not. It's difficult without having an out-and-out striker or a focal point. We are trying to sort of remedy that problem, but you're looking at how we're playing at the moment, and you're wondering, well, okay, is it needed at the moment? There is large spells of the game where we're sort of nullifying the game, and we're not having too much sort of potency, but. I think man for man, the decision making, the effort has just been spot on, and that's everyone across the park, and including the lads who come off the bench.
We did say pre-match, that players need to step up to the plate, and in the 3 games so far without Aaron O'Connor, they've done that, haven't they? Oh,
certainly. I mean, Reece has been using his attributes to lead the line, which is slightly different to striking a ball up into, let's say, people like Azar or like last year maybe Rene. He does cause a wariness with the opposition. You can see that they're not comfortable. We have the confidence to overhit things if we need to. And then also, I don't want to say too much away, but the knowledge of Ben Milnes, Marcus and Lyndon are picking up a lot of joy, a lot of ball. Not necessarily because we're winning it up there, but certainly the centre halves are winning it. But the first goal has come from that, and all we need is one of them 3 to have a moment, whether picking someone out or having a little run at someone, and it certainly was the rewards in the first half.
Let's have a look at that first goal, Marcus Kelly's goal. Marcus, you can see it again. It was an absolute cracker.
Well, that's the one thing I've always loved about having Marcus in the team. He's a very well balanced footballer. He's got to drop the shoulder. He's got tidy feet, and he was just linking play, weren't he? Generally in the game, we weren't finding him as much as we'd like, but yeah, we have been working on just finding that space and then get him on a one-on-one, and it was good timing purely because they just had this is a countering from a corner, and no one really seen what he's capable of doing. So it certainly put them on the back foot when he got his half the yard, and that's a tremendous strike, which he's always had. A
little while later, we had a Reece Hones header, which we'll see in a minute. We're seeing this Marcus Kelly.
He's getting a few headers now, isn't he?
He is, yeah.
He's really stepped up to the plate. He's working his socks off. He's leading the line really well. Very reminiscent to Vardy in terms of just that pace and just grinding centre halves down, and he's been exceptional for us. I can't follow.
He didn't know he was offside, did he? But the Honus header that came in was very unlucky. Really, it was a good. There
was good football at that time. We shifted the ball really well. With that's a great delivery, but I think we had a good passage there of about 8 or 9 passes. Shifting around and yeah, lurking in on the other side of him. Was he offside? I'm not sure, but
Lino says we have to assume.
Well, he hasn't hit the target, so we're not too worried.
Yeah, but good effort though.
At least there is some efforts. At times, I say there is a bit toothless at times, but that's just us managing the opposition. And when you've got the amount of pace, and certainly when you bring Andrea on, you can suck teams onto you a wee bit, and knowing that that last 10-15 when they've decided they've got to go for it, the pace of Andrea and Reece and Lyndon and Marcus was really coming to the fore.
It was an experienced Halesowen side. I mean, you can't discount Lee Hughes and Salvan Banks, Blake and James Roberts. I thought played well for Halesowen Town, and Paul White was brought into action.
That's a great
brilliant save onto the bar, wasn't it?
We always talk about the year when United won loads of 1-0s, and Schmeichel pulled off one save here and there, not being much in the game. Bit disappointing it's one ball. That's very rare that's happened to us. Just caught out of shape at the back, the defence. And and that's what Paul's there for. And I'm delighted to see that he's pulled off a great save. And you'd love to go through 90 minutes and not giving the opposition anything. And thankfully everyone stood to the plate when required.
Then there was the Halesowen yellow card, which we could have seen a red card, maybe if he'd been last man on a... Didn't make an attempt at the ball at all, did he?
No. We've had a few of them now, haven't we? Because it's probably so near the halfway line. Yeah.
I think that's it's probably right. The yellow card. He's not last man, but he made no attempt whatsoever.
You can see the defender. Very similar to what happened on Tuesday late on, and sometimes you just got to respect that. I mean, I can't. Who's it there? He's just I can't quite make that in the shape.
Rigoli, I think.
Yeah. But we've certainly very mobile, a lot of legs, and it causes teams a lot of trouble.
Then we had towards the end of the game, it got a bit tense, didn't it? We had Rhys Hones going through, hit the side netting. I thought it had gone in, but again, as you say, Rhys Hones is playing superb.
Yeah, they've done quite well there. They've stood off a wee bit, and there was a couple of times he was running through, and because they stood off, I think it sent him into a bit of confusion because normally he's getting a challenge. So. I just want him and Andrea probably shooting a wee bit more, and Lyndon. I think they're passing the responsibility here and there. But no, we can certainly, we're managing the games really well, and the midfield and the defence are being really, really solid. To only concede 1 goal in 3 games, even towards the end, we're still we're posing them problems.
And the pièce de résistance came from Mr. Kettering himself. He came on. And,
we obviously they moved Lee over onto Dion for obvious reasons, and that's the strength of Ben. Ben's been probably been unfortunate that Gary just gives us a bit more defensive prowess and probably shows a bit more experience. But when we do bring Ben on into these areas here, there is that's a great delivery and balanced. And there will be teams this year where we can afford to have him on and pushing him high, and certainly late on in the games when we need to. And it's come off. And as ever, I've got to give Brett a lot of credit in terms of it's a different role for him this year. You could see the personnel that we've brought in at the back. We're different to how we were last year, which needed to be. And Brett is fantastically experienced, very knowledgeable, very adaptable, versatile, and we spoke about seeing games out and maybe going securing the game, and that's what he's done today. By
the time we're next at home, Marcus, against Bedford United, we'll have gone to your old club, Barwell. There's quite a few connections there now. They've just signed Spencer Weir-Daly.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've got a lot of time for Barwell. I'm still in contact with the chairman there. I've got a lot of a love for the club. Had a fantastic 3 years. If it wasn't for that club, I wouldn't have come to Kettering in the conference. And I took Jimmy there at the time. I think it's only Liam Castle, the goalkeeper, who's there from my time there. Or Nigel Julian as well. Sorry. So I'll be going there doing my job. I'll enjoy it after. Obviously, if it's a positive result, and I've noticed someone mentioned that they've won today, so it's actually could be a top of the table clash, exactly. Which it's a bit of excitement early doors at an old club. But I've mentioned it before. My links with a lot of teams in this league, over the years when I started out with Racing Club Warwick. I know John from today's manager from days at Tipton, and I knew a few of his staff as well. So. There's a few other players who've played under us. We've seen Jack, Ivor Lawton play for me when I was coaching at Coventry. So, I'm going to have quite a few reminiscing and sort of old faces again. So I'll enjoy that. But foremost, it's getting the job done, focusing on the next game. The lads have been incredible. We put in a fantastic shift. Fitness levels have been fantastic, and the decision making has been of a very high standard.
Finally, Marcus, and I know it's a question that a lot of fans want to know, is obviously about Aaron O'Connor.
Yes.
How is he, and what's the prognosis?
The good news is we're far more positive than what it could have been. He's basically got a fracture to the top of his tib, just inside the knee joint, where you've kind of got a tib pad, which is also heavily inflamed. So he's got to rest that. There's a few little marks in and around the sort of cruciate and the meniscus, but we're quietly confident if we can get through the 4 weeks, we're going to send him to St George's. They're going to control his rehab, and we'll take it from there. It could have been a lot worse, and it's not. Now we know what situation we're in. We've tried 1 or 2 that have failed. We've got 1 or 2 other targets. I don't want to just bring people in and hope that they can do something. It's got to be someone who's going to be able to do something, offer us something a bit different and unfocal. Because at the same time, I don't want to drastically change what we're doing at the minute, because it's obviously working. There is a few flaws in it, as most formations or tactics of play, and there's always games can be so different. But fundamentally, the biggest key is every one of them players are making the right decision, and that's what it comes down to. You're making the right decision, whether it be for an opportunity to score or whether it's to defend. And I'm certainly very pleased with that at the moment.
Okay, Marcus, thank you for your time. Congratulations once again. We'll see you in the heat box again. It is a bit warm, isn't it?